real talk, Cortne, why are we surprised that it's so many kingdom-minded people or Christians that's doing so well? Why are we surprised about that?
Yeah.
I had to check myself about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, they believe in God? Oh my gosh, they go to church? Oh my God. I'm like,
well, one, because we're so used to seeing Christians
struggle.
not look the part, not have. So Jed and I had a conversation all the time, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm gonna say it because this is how I feel.
Be free. Say it with your chin free.
I believe people that do not believe in God believe more than we do.
No, you're.
So they know the principles.
The principles.
They know the word more than a lot of us. They know the principles and they follow the principles. And because you're following the principles, they're seeing the fruit.
Hey, thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, pray. Thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, yeah.
Wake up, everybody. Let's go up. Get on the good foot. Get on the scene. Gangsta lean. Baby. That's the intro?
Do it again. Right.
That's how you feel? That's the intro? If you want it, okay, we can have it. Hey. If you like it, let's grab it. I'll claim it. That's what Jesus said. You know I like to make songs on the just fly. Call me DJ Jess. Ooh. Jess vibe. You know what I'm saying? On the 1s, 2s, 3s, and the 4s. Alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You see what I'm saying? Is there a criteria? You want to be like me? Like, is there like a certain criteria that you need to be called DJ? Do you meet those standards? I think I am the standard. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, you can find me at club. I have differing. The point. Okay. Yeah, I DJ. Woo! Y'all got to give me a name though, because I feel like don't do it. Don't encourage. But you like this, Desiree. I do like Desiree. Hey, Desiree. I mean, you did do one thing right. Oh, I did that. That's the only thing I did right. How about you switch to yourself when I do your song? We good. Let's go. Welcome to the Just Dance Podcast. You're looking at the camera, but you Jessica. So it's not working. That's what you're trying to tell me. No, it's working. Let's go. Desiree, I'm not moving forward until you switch yourself. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm sorry, we got guests and she acting up. She acting
I love it. Be you. Be free.
Look. Be free. We got guests and she acting all the way up. Y'all, it's another one. It's another one, y'all. Welcome back to Jess As the Podcast, where we create a safe space for influencers to decompress, have fun, and guess what? Just as. Yes, that's indeed. Yes, indeed. Listen, I'm really excited about who we have today because I feel like I'm about to learn something. What about you, Desiree? Yes. I think the Lord is bringing some intellect in the room. I'm finna pull up my notepad. I wish I wanted to put my notebook up because I did. Yeah. But at least we get to record this because I'm probably going to take notes when I watch it again. Absolutely. Listen, this young lady is the lady. Young, vibrant, Holy Ghost filled. Let's not forget about that. But money. Hey, money. You talk about theme songs, baby. Come on. I mean, she came in the door smelling like money, looking like money, acting like. I mean, it's the embodiment. But I love how she keeps God first. Yes. Like at the end of the day, because she like I wouldn't have this where I am without the Lord. And so she is a wife. Yes. She is an entrepreneur. She is also a podcaster. So she's creative, and so I'm really excited. We kind of go bike. And we might talk about that a little bit. But I have none other than Cortne Miller in the building. What's up, boo? Y'all see her? Look at her. Give them a little glance at them earrings. Shout out your girls. You said who? Aaliyah.
Well, I'm exhausting in beauty.
Oh man, those are so
dope. So dope.
And it looks like the what we used to do as a little girl when we put the beads together.
Yes, that's exactly how she made them. Yes, I'm gonna have to give you her info.
Yeah, you have to give me her info. Now the big earrings. I'm trying to glide into the fashion scene because I'm a little basic, as you can see. Two piece look like the same. Basic. No. I mean, with my fashion, I'm still learning. Now those jeans, be free.
Be free. Be free. Just be free. You know?
I'm living in bondage.
Just be free.
How you feeling, sis?
Man, I am good. That intro, listen, had me about to run a lap in here.
What's it, girl? I might have to introduce you a lot of times. Record, put that on replete.
I got you. That's gonna be my go music.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
And I'm excited about this episode.
I'm excited about this episode too because I really love the fact that God does things in His timing because I've known, so let's give you a backstory. So I've known Cortne. We met in college, the University of Alabama. Okay, fact check me on it. Okay, roll tide, baby. All right. Anyway, so we met under an organization called the Afro-American Gospel Choir. She danced for HIP, His Instruments of Praise, right? And so we weren't just like cool or whatever, but we knew who like that's fam. Like that's how we treated each other in this organization. So it wasn't a lot of drama on my end. Like I don't know if I'm lying or not, but on whatever. Look, you know how I think I be finding stuff out, Cortne. So I'm like, I can't be saying that. I gotta say it for myself.
Well, it wasn't no drama on my end.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know nothing about drama. So it was just a free organization. Like shout out to C-Mo.
Right? Look, she had us together.
Yes.
She kept us in check.
She kept us in check, and she's still keeping folks in check.
Oh yeah.
So shout out to her. But baby, first of all, when Cortne used to be dancing, okay, we should have called her the Demon Slayer. Cortne was outside coming for folks. She was coming folks next. So I shouldn't be surprised from what I saw there to what I'm seeing now. Like I don't know. I think I'm amazed. Yeah. I think I'm amazed because to me, you seem like very quiet and you very reserved. But now the light that you're in, now I'm kind of like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared. Are you surprised at you?
I think it's kind of always been in me. So I, of course, grew up in church. But it wasn't until I literally had to go through some things on my own in college that made me kind of realize, hey, Cortne, like, you know, you got to have this relationship on your own. Like, coming from, I'm from Bessemer originally, then going to Birmingham, and then my mom got married, and I ended up going to Birmingham City School. So she was like, hey, you ain't going to Huffman, but you end up putting me, the school you put me in wasn't too much better from Bessemer, you know? So I kind of got to a point where, like, life was about to happen. Like, I didn't know how I was going to college. I didn't know how, you know, things were going to kind of plan out. My family didn't have, you know, a lot. They did what they could.
Yeah.
So I really had to, you know, go to the source about exactly what it was that I was supposed to be doing. You know, of course, at that age, you know, you kind of think you know what you're going to do, but all of the time, that's not necessarily how your life is going to plan out for me now. I don't even use that degree. But back to your question, it doesn't surprise me because I always knew that there was something bigger in me. But when I tapped into, like, really, really tapped into knowing God for me, like, my life changed. So having the afros there to help kind of mold me. Yeah. You know, that was really the life changer for real. The fact that there is a whole gospel choir in college at 18, 19 years old. We're going on these conferences. I'm seeing so many other kids, you know, really around the nation that we're competing with, and they love God too, you know. So it didn't really surprise me for real because it's, you know, when it's in you, it's in you. You know, it just takes something to bring it out.
I love that you said, like, it was always in you to exude who you are now, like to exemplify who you are now. Because, and I'll be honest, like, even when we were in gospel choir, you know, I don't know if you know this about me or not, but I'm PK. I'm a PK. Been a PK for a long time. And so all I knew was church. All I knew was that I needed to get in something, and I felt like I needed a release, and afros was that release for me. And it was just fun. I still, like, friends with people now, and I can believe you. Like, I still talk to KC, you know, Philip and I are best friends. On this guy, I see all the time on Facebook and stuff like that. So it's just it was a great, healthy community. But I have to be honest and say that I don't know. I think it kept me from going too far off. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think God used that as a safety net for us. And some of the things that we even did along, I'm like, wow, we could have done that, or we could have did this, or we were doing that. Like, wow, God, you really kept that a safe place for us. And so I'm grateful that he does that. So you talked about an encounter. Let's go deeper into that. Like, everybody has an encounter. Like, I'm still trying to go back down my line and say, okay, well, which one was considered the encounter? You know how holy people be like, I can't stand it. Yeah. Like, I was like, can we just not get too supernatural about it? Like, it's some people's story like that. I'm not getting me wrong.
Yeah.
But what was your encounter that just said, okay, God, I gotta pivot. I gotta make this turn.
Oh, I got a lot of them. But I think for me, the main one was getting ready. So preparing for college. And my mama always say, hey, be careful out there. You don't want to, she would always say, you don't want to bring nothing back that you can't get rid of. She would always say that, right?
Child, that sound like something else.
Like, you don't want to bring nothing back that you can't. So I'm over here like, okay, you know, that, like, of course, anything can happen to anybody, but I'm over there like, that can't happen to me. Like, I got this. I'm good. So I found myself, and it wasn't anything I couldn't get rid of, but I did end up finding myself in a place where I got caught up with someone that I knew I shouldn't have been with, and he brought me something back.
Ooh, child.
And when I say that, like, when people talk about, like, depression, that was, like, my first depression or depressive episode. I literally didn't eat. I had got down to 99 pounds at 19 years old.
What?
99 pounds. I look back now on pictures and my neck, like, I can literally look at and just see, like, everything, like now it's, you know, it's full. I got a little, I mean, I ain't too big, but I mean, I got a little meat on me.
You're a little slim
but,
thick.
You know, I could really see how my body was changing. Hair was falling out. I wasn't eating. And it really wasn't because of just the fact that I ended up contracting something. It was the fact that was the main thing my mom was telling me. And I couldn't even call her and tell her, you know, what was going on. So I'm dealing with it by myself. So I felt like I was dealing with it by myself. So I remember one day, I ended up almost fainting in the shower. Ended up going to the student health center. Never forget. And it was in that time when, like, my blood count was low. It was like, I was, like, literally spiraling. Like, what is happening to my body? And I really got to a point where I'm just like, okay, God, like, what am I doing here? Like, is it time for me to go home? Like, did I upset you? Like, I know I'm doing stuff that I don't really supposed to be doing, but, you know, hey, I done heard about grace all my life. Where is the grace? You know, so I got to
hold up. You can't run past that, because that's probably one of the realest statements that people don't admit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I know God. Yeah, I got a relationship with God. Yeah, I'm talking to God. But everybody get grace but me?
Yeah. What do I do when I don't see it? When I'm praying for people and they're getting healed, and I'm praying for healing and I ain't seen it yet.
That's so good.
You know, so I got to a point where I'm literally like, God, you got to talk to me. Like, I really need you here. So I kind of just really started honing in really more on the afros. And, you know, it wasn't even like we had certain church services and things like that, but it was just more of like the community and just being around people, and you know that they're going through things the same way that you are. So that was really the biggest thing for me, to say, okay, God, if you help me here, if you give, like, just give me my mind back, just give me my peace back. You know, I wasn't eating. I was literally crying that's not me. I'm going in the shower. I'm sitting in the shower like with my knees to my chest. You know, like, what's happening here? Yeah. So I think for me, like, and it was, thank God it was something that, you know, it was clear. You know, I've never had anything again. But I think it was just a wake up call where, first of all, like I said in the beginning, I knew I wasn't supposed to be messing with them anyway. So the fact that you know who I've called you, you know who I've called you to be, and you playing on my name now. Like, that's what I feel like God telling me. You playing in my name now. You playing on my name. So, you know, sometimes we have to go through things for God to, like, give us a wake up call, give us a little self check. You know, hey. You know who I've called you. Do you know who I've called you? Go back to your word and really see, you know, hey, what do I say about you? And that's really the stepping stone to getting to where I am now.
You talking real good. Look, Desiree, she talking real good, because it even goes back to what you just said about the grace. Hey, God, what the grace is. My response to you is that I've graced you for a different level. Why are you going back and eating with the pigs? Why are you going back to the vomit? Like, you're better than what you see.
Yeah.
That don't get, this is so good. Because I give you access to be around the darkness does not mean you go dark.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I told you, you was talking good. You're helping me out right now. And so in the facts of, I love how you got into a relationship because your shirt say black, married, and wealthy. And we're going to get into that because you black, you married, and you wealthy.
All right. Hey, I received.
So going from a point of you're 19 years old, you fooling around with people that you know you don't supposed to be fooling around with. How do you get to being happily married? What does that gap look like? Because I ain't gonna lie, I admire what I'm seeing. Yeah. I really admire, and it's okay. I'm about to tell myself. So I watched what was that show? What was on
Family or Fiance?
Yes. Yeah. And I watched it, and I watched it, man. I was like, oh, she a fro. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, that's Cortne, whatever. Woo, woo, woo. And I had seen when you got engaged, but I was like, whoa, she's on TV. Like, I got excited. Like, I just got excited. And I really wasn't trying to be nosy. I was just like, I was already watching the show. And so I was like, oh, I gotta watch her show. And that was interesting. Let's just get
to say the least.
So, but it wasn't real.
I won't say that it's fake.
Okay.
It's not scripted, but they take different clips to make it seem a certain way. So how we're sitting here right now on this topic. Yeah. And just say later on down the show, we start talking about something else. They can pull a clip from right here and put it at the end of the show like we're mad at each other. Like right now we're laughing and talking right now.
Because baby, so they made it seem like you were mad. Yeah. Like it scared me. I was like, ooh, like it scared me. And I was like, are they gonna get married? Like, I knew that you ended up getting married because our mutual friends, they was like, oh, we're going to Cortne wedding, blah, blah. Yeah. But that made me nervous. So I was glad to see.
They needed a villain. They needed a villain. And I'd be okay with being a villain. You know, it is what it is.
How are you okay with being a villain? Because I don't think I get settled with that. Like, I'm like, no, I want everybody. I guess it's people pleasing. I want everybody.
I was going to say it.
Go talk to me. You finna read me for my race.
Listen, one thing about me, and I think a lot of people that know me, I honestly don't care what people say anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah, I definitely don't care what people say anymore. And I feel that it definitely took some time to get here. But when you know who you are, when you know your heart, your integrity speaks for you. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter what this person says when I have people that know for a fact how I've treated them, how I act on a regular, because people will try to, not necessarily knowing who you are, but they'll try to just put together like, oh, well, she look like this or she looks like that. Like you said, I look reserved. Mm. I mean,
she shook her head, look a little bit too. Her husband over here is like, no, fam, no. Try it again.
But people are trying to kind of base who you are based off of how they feel or how they look at themselves and how they feel about themselves. And I had to get to a point where I understood how you feel about me don't have nothing to do with me. It has all the things to do with you, especially if you're holding on to something and you have a problem or think I've said something a certain way. Talk about it because I can't reach your mind. I don't know exactly, what I've done. And I tell people all the time, baby, tell me what's going on so I can apologize and we can move on.
That's so good.
So I can, I don't mind saying I'm sorry. I don't mind saying that was my fault. That was my bad. I don't mind saying it because ultimately in my heart, I ain't mean it. Now, some stuff I mean, and I'm going to stand on it, But more than likely, I'm not just out here, especially people that I love. I'm not out here intentionally hurting you, intentionally trying to be this certain person. So I honestly just let my integrity speak for me. People that have never met me, people that have met me, they can speak on who I am. And I know who I am. I know who God has called me to be. And I know that I'm trying to be I'm not perfect. I don't always say stuff the right way how I supposed. And I will apologize for that. But I have gone to a point when I really know that I stand on integrity. I stand on making sure that I treat people right. I stand on making sure that, I'm in good, literally in good standing with people. Like I remember when he and I first met, Jay used to tell me all the time, them ain't your friends. Like, you more of a friend to them than they are to you. And because of my love for people, because I like when I'm with you, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You know, when you're my friend, I consider you a friend. Like, you can have anything.
Right.
You know, so when you love people like that, you really develop just this. And it's not, I don't care. It's just, I know that's not me, so I'm not going to allow you to just paint me to be this person. And if you do, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm okay. I'm going to still stand 10 toes on who Cortne is, you know?
I think that's so amazing. I'm finna be transparent with you.
Yeah.
So I have this thing where I can't really say it anymore, but I used to be like, oh, I don't do women. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mom trauma or whatever you want to call it, heartbreak, all this stuff like that. And I trusted men way more than women. I would want to be around men all the time, whether, you know, platonic or not. You know what I'm saying? And like women like you of your stature would intimidate me because you were so sure about yourself. I had to get to an understanding of it intimidated me because you were sure and I wasn't. Yeah. So when you say, it has everything to do with the opposite person, if we're really honest about ourselves and looking at a woman to woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's being sure and then having what you have. If we're honest, like you're married, for me, I'm not in your household, I'm not in your day-to-day today, but I'm looking at you and I'm looking at, you know, your 9-to-5 sayings and how you're motivating people to entrepreneurship. Like, I'm looking at all of this. Yeah. And I'm like, dang, she got it. Even now, like as the I guess more confident version of myself, I'm like, dang, she got it. And so I think we have to, first of all, be honest like I was with you and just say, you know, this is an insecurity that I have about me. Yeah. And you remind me of that insecurity. Yeah. And just be okay with you remind me of insecurity because you might be able to teach me how to come out of it because I don't know if you had that relationship with insecurity like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so what has made you so sure of who you are?
Having people try to tell me who I am. So when I started I Am Mentoring in Ministry back in 2016, God gave me that in a dream. Mm-hmm. And basically, we just teach women, I call it LIP, how to love themselves, how to be inspired just on how to, wait, I know you said you don't click. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think.
You fine, girl. Listen.
You saw the intro, and probably none of that probably gonna be cut out. So
the intro we ghetto around
here.
But
it's how to love themselves, own their power, and then how to basically walk in their power. Mm-hmm. So I was going around speaking to kids, young girls, telling them, you know, it's okay to be who God called you to be. It's okay, you know, to be different and be okay with, you know, not liking the same things that other people like, being okay with being a person in your family, you know, to be the first in your family for certain things. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, of course we can get clouded with not seeing other people in our family do certain things and we feel like we can't. So I was so headstrong on showing girls this and just really just honing in on high self-esteem, just really understanding, like, literally, who are you? Yeah. Who do you want to be? Who do you say you are? Because so many people would try to tear you down with that. And I used to model. I don't know if you remember seeing those, but I remember. So I used to take all different, this was like 19 to like maybe 23. Mm-hmm. And I used to take all these different kind of pictures, do music videos, all kind of stuff. And I remember this lady wrote me one day and she was like, hey, I love what you're doing with I Am Mentoring in Ministry. I want to sew, you know, I want to, you know, help you with the girls. Then she said, well, she wrote me back literally maybe 15 minutes later and was like, well, I take that back. If you're going to be helping girls, you can't be taking these kind of pictures. What kind of, what are you saying to them? What kind of, like, how are you been a role model to them with these type of pictures? And at that time, you know, now at this age, I wouldn't do that. But back then, it was really more so of showing girls what's possible. And you're not, even though, like, I'm still not the picture, you know, showing them, like, you can be tasteful, you can take the pictures that you want to take, but at the same time, make sure that you're not doing it for others. This is what you love. Like, I love, like, at the end of the day, I love my body, I love me. If I take these pictures because I love it and I'm okay with it. And I remember when Jed and I first met, the first question my family asked him, hey, you okay with her taking, like they couldn't wait to get him to the table, the dinner table. You okay with her taking no pictures? And we laugh about it to this day, but he was just like, yeah, it's just pictures. And I had like, that said something to me because it's like, okay, there are people who look at you for you. There are people who see you for who you are and not necessarily off of what you do.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a society, of course, people do base what you do off of who you are, but that's not always the case. Like, like if you look at actors and actresses, we look at these shows and we see the person out. We calling them the character that they are in the movie.
That's
you know?
so good.
But that's their job. That's not necessarily who they are.
Yeah.
And I think I had to be able to decipher the two.
Yeah.
Be able to know the difference between who Cortne is and what these pictures are representing, and who Cortne is and what Cortne can tell these young girls, you know? So for me, it just got to a point where, you know, I know who you all have said who you all have said I am, who you all have said I'm not. Let me get in here and see who God says I am. Like, I done had some long conversations with, okay, God, you finna have to pan this thing out for me all together. But we get to a point where like, we don't hear God talk, but it's in his word already.
That is so good.
His word has already told me that he calls me the head and not the tail. He has already told me, like, you are above like you have authority over everything on the earth. Yeah. So if I know this, regardless of what any person that come to me say, I have authority over that thing. And I think that's really what gets me to a point of, you know, like, I'm made in God's image. So if he gave me the dream, if he gave me the idea, now, of course, you know, I do believe that we kind of can, you know, sway a little bit on our own thinking, of course. But ultimately, because I carry the Spirit with me, and I like, I know my pastor's talking about seeking now, like I seek his ways, I seek, you know, his direction. Yeah. Then at this point, like, I'm going the path that he said. Like, everything that I did, whether it was the pictures, whether it was, you know, contracting the STD, whatever it was all designed for me to get here where I am now. Yeah. So who are you to come in here and tell me because you met me on a bad day, or because, you know, you feel that I should do something a different way? Who are you to tell me who I am?
Yeah. What you just said just kind of like resonated with me a lot. Cause I've been seeing stuff too. What's her name? Coco Jones. I think that's the lady name.
Singer?
Yeah. There's something about
Coco Jones. With the vocals,
something about, y'all gonna be so mad. Get out y'all righteous living. Y'all know I know that song.
Come on.
But her, all right, beautiful young lady. Yeah. And I was watching an interview that she did when it was talking about how she hears Holy Spirit. And she was just like saying that, you know, she doesn't make decisions without God, but because everybody put her as a tagline, especially with this song about hands on the body, you know what I'm saying? She's singing that, and it's like, but I still go with God. You know what I'm saying? She was talking, basically the conversation was like, they were trying to get her to wear some very provocative clothes, and she wasn't really comfortable, but she said, I don't know if I can say something. So she went to God about it, and literally it worked out. She didn't even tell them that she was uncomfortable. Yeah. She went back to God. And so I think in this space where I feel like people like limit God on what he can do and what he can use.
Let's talk about it.
And it's like, you're basically saying that whatever I did, I still glorified God. I don't think people can really grasp that concept, because it's like, oh, it don't look like God. Yeah. But what does God look like?
Right.
Like, what does God look like? And then
you have to also think about how we put God in a box because we want him to answer the way that we want him to answer. So when we pray about things, when we ask him, you know, for whatever it is that we're needing at the time, we want him to show up the way that we want him to. We want him to tell us to pull up in the drive-thru, grab this number 3, get this, go this person, drink it right here. He's not going to do it. Every time it's not going to be like that. Right. And we will miss God if we want him to show up in a certain way or look a certain way. So just because someone sings, you know, R&B music doesn't mean that they didn't hear God. Yeah. Just because someone does something that doesn't look like you feel it should look doesn't mean that it's not God. Like for me, I went to college. I do not use my college degree.
And what was your degree in?
health science. So originally I was going to pharmacy school. So I got a bachelor's in general health science with a concentration in pre-pharmacy. So I did all of my prereqs to get me ready for pharmacy school. Baby, it didn't take me long to realize that I was not going to school all them years.
All of our story.
You know, it ain't take me too long to realize it. But I've always been creative, and now that I quit my government job, that's why I always call myself the 9-to-5 dropout. Like I asked God, Lord, please make it a way where I will never have to go back to another person's job. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think anything is wrong with anyone working a 9-to-5.
Right.
However, that is not for me. But people look at it like, well, it's one way to make money.
Yeah.
It's one, like when people start praying and asking God to bless them and give them money or whatever, you think it's going to come by getting a second job, or you think it's going to come by, you know, getting a new position. It doesn't always come like that. You may have a talent that looks like that's something you can bless people with.
Yeah.
Or you can create something with your hands and make more money that way. But I know we're going to get into that. But
yeah, I was about to say, you always get said waking in.
But get to that, you know, what I'm saying is a lot of people look at it like you have to do things one type of way in order to please God, or you have to do things one type of way in order for it to look like it's God. Like, I'm more, let me see how to say this, because, you know, I'm more focused on being like God than looking like God. You can look holy. Then that goes back to, you know, making sure that you don't wear these certain kind of clothes and take these. But when your heart nasty and you ain't loving people, what that mean?
Ooh.
So what does it matter to look the part, but your heart not be the part?
Which is what he's concerned about anyway.
He don't even care about all that stuff. He tells us to love people, love him, and love people.
That's what he said. And I think we quickly forget that, because real talk, Cortne, why are we surprised that it's so many kingdom-minded people or Christians that's doing so well? Why are we surprised about that?
Yeah.
I had to check myself about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, they believe in God? Oh my gosh, they go to church? Oh my God. I'm like,
well, one, because we're so used to seeing Christians
struggle.
not look the part, not have. So Jed and I had a conversation all the time, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm gonna say it because this is how I feel.
Be free. Say it with your chin free.
I believe people that do not believe in God believe more than we do.
No, you're.
So they know the principles.
The principles.
They know the word more than a lot of us. They know the principles and they follow the principles. And because you're following the principles, they're seeing the fruit.
It don't require you to be a Christian for the principles. It does not.
Because he came for the like and the just and the unjust. Listen. He came for everybody, not just because we say out our mouth that we declare
Come
Jesus.
On.
He came for all of us. It's the principle that matters. So that's why we get, and I chill. Anytime I see somebody, especially that love God, you know, I'm proud to see that fruit. I'm proud to see that, you know, you're okay, because so many people are just so against having more.
Girl,
why do you have to call it? Why do you have to say, you know, it's from the devil, or it's they love the money? It's the root of all evil, baby. We need it. Do you hear me?
We need it. It's a resource.
For what I want to do, for what I need to do, for what I want to do for those around me, for what I want to build. Baby, I ain't going to get it just from praying. I need some sources.
Listen, no, you're talking
resources. I'm sorry.
No, you're talking really, really well.
So good.
Because the thing about it is the reason why, and this even segue into what you help people do. From my understanding, you help people gain the confidence to use their creativity and execute in it, right? And make money off what they're doing.
Right.
I can feel you on that. Come on in. You good. Yeah, it's live and listen, we do this all the time. Oh, but what you said is so profound, because this is what irritates me. when I hear people get mad about preachers and pastors thriving,
that's crazy.
But why do you want your leader to be broke? Why would I want a leader that ain't ever, you talking about prosperity and God can do a healing, but he ain't healed your finances.
Come on.
Why am I listening to you?
Right.
So now
Where
I
your
can.
fruit at?
We're talking about.
Come on.
We're talking about living righteous and living kingdom, but you living broke.
Yeah.
By choice.
Yeah.
And you mad at your pastor because he's actually or he or she is actually executing the word and the will of God.
Yes.
Like I was like, Lord, do we really have prosperity teachers, or do they just teach a portion of the word, or heavily a portion? And I think we needed that, because so many times we just like, oh, the Lord's gonna save me and they're gonna pay this bill. No, he's gonna give you strategies.
Yes.
Like I'm in this season now. He's gonna give you strategies, and he's gonna give you gifts and talents to execute in the form of a seed.
Yeah.
So you can grow, so that you can build upon.
For sure.
And watch this, not even just gain the money, the wealth, all that stuff, but gain the wisdom so you can teach it.
Yes.
That's legacy.
Yes.
That's legacy. So I don't understand it. So let's get into how you, okay, so you went from I don't want to do this job to now I want to be creative or whatever. Was there a transitional point, or did you give God a timestamp? Like what does that part of your story look like?
Yeah, so I've sold a whole bunch of stuff, let's just say. But in 2018, I started I Am Fit. And it was I Am Faith and Training.
Okay.
And basically, God gave me the idea from everything that we deal with, we go through, we experience is a battleground to train your faith. Literally, everything that we do. And with my ministries, I never really wanted to make money from them, and it could have been just a mindset thing for me. But I was selling athletic wear. And so the I Am Fit athleisure wear, all of that went together. And I ended up closing that business, one, because I can speak to people and connect with people without having to necessarily use that to sell them. Like we see so many of these Christian brands popping up, and I'm not saying all of them, are using God's name, for profit, but there are quite a lot,
Come on now.
So I was like, I don't have to do that in order to reach artists, in order to minister to people. I don't have to do that. So, and then it also wasn't as lucrative as I wanted it to be as well. So I was like, okay, I still can do what I'm doing now without the clothing piece. And clothing is it's a whole lot. It just take a whole nother.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I was like, okay, we're going to go ahead and close that one. But I knew I still wanted to be an entrepreneur. Even when I was in school, I would have my mom at Sam's buying Powerades and Big Texas so I can sell them to the kids at school.
So you always got to the money.
So I've always been an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I ended up closing that business, and I ended up birthing Creative Kids Jewelry. And what Creative Kids Jewelry is, we just teach children to be you, to be, like I sell all custom jewelry. So I teach kids where the brand message is to be you and to own who you are and your differences and your uniqueness through creating jewelry that looks like you. So whatever, like I get little girls all the time that don't like pink and purple. They like blue and greens and blacks, and things like that. So it feels so good to be able to create jewelry for them where they can express themselves how they see fit and not how the world tells you, because you're a girl, you wear pink. No, I'm a girl, but I wear what I want to wear because I like it. So I ended up seeing this video about drop shipping. And I remember telling Jit, I was like, hey, I can't do this at work anymore. Like, I'm at a point now where, it's getting like real bad mentally. I contemplated suicide. I had just bought a gun. And I never forget, it was literally sitting on the side of the bed. And one day, like, I would get really, really, like, have really bad panic attacks.
Yeah.
Right before I go to bed, just thinking about the next day. And I had a heart monitor for about a week because I was experiencing heart palpitations. So we were just trying to figure out, what is going on. So, of course, my doctor's saying it's anxiety. You're anxious. I can give you medicine. No, I don't want medicine. I already know what the problem is. But I'll never forget hearing a voice literally in my head. You didn't buy that gun for protection. You bought it for you. I will never, never forget it. So you got to think about it. I'm already like, I'm just working to pay bills. Like, it's a never-ending cycle at this point. You know, I know God got something better for me, but I've literally been praying, and nothing has changed. I have like this stack of prayers that I would literally pray. And if you just start following me, but if anybody that followed me like years ago when I was working, I would literally write a prayer out every day and put it in like this little stack of like index cards. And you know, just asking God, like, God, I know you hear me, like what's happening? What we're doing here? Yeah. And I ended up going. So one day, randomly, Jet just asked me. He would always just do check-ins, you know. But one day he was intentional, like real intentional, like, hey, you good? Like, what's going on? And I would just be like, I'm good, you know, whatever, you know, it's cool. But I ended up just telling him, you know, what I had been experiencing. And he said, no, like, you can quit today. Like, you can quit now. So I was like, well, you know, we had just kind of moved in. It was middle of the pandemic. First of all, it's the middle of the pandemic. Talking about quitting a good job at that. Yeah. And we had just bought a house. Yeah.
And y'all married at this point.
We're married, yes. This was 2021. So I started working there in, was it 2017, 2018? Yeah. And I stayed about 3.5 years. And, you know, he didn't like his job at the time, but then he had been kind of praying about becoming a firefighter and everything. So we were waiting for the test to come through here. Took the test a couple times. So it's just a lot that's kind of going through my mind right now. Like, you know, if I let this job go, what we gonna do? You know, hey, let's think about it. So he was like, the next day I was like, I'm thinking about it. I think I'm gonna go part-time first. First of all, God had already told me it was time to go. God told me it was time to go, and then when Jet confirmed it. So, of course, I had worked since I was 16 years old. Yeah. So anybody that's kind of thinking about what they can do, they're like, no, I can't let this job go. So I was disobedient, and I didn't repent for it now, but I was disobedient. I ended up going part-time. That definitely didn't make sense because now I'm making less. They cut more, and they still taking out everything out of my check. I'm like, this definitely is not it. So I don't know how long I worked out part-time. It wasn't long at all before I ended up just giving that 2 weeks notice. And by this time, I already had the kids business going, but I really wasn't spending a lot of time on it because, I mean, let's just be honest. When you're working a job, it's hard to put so much time into your business as well. So I quit, and I'm doing Instacart. Girl, crying every day. I'm like, God, I know you told me. You said to leave. Like, it was time to go. Like, I prayed about that thing. I did an exit fast. But I did all of that because I'm like, Lord, like, first of all, ain't nobody in my family ever not worked. So, how this finna work out, you know? I'm like, we finna have just one income. Jen ain't even graduated fire academy yet, like, because they, you know, the money don't start coming in for real until you out of school. So it's a lot happening here. So I'm doing Instacart. When I say I'm crying, like, I'm bawling like a baby. Do you hear me? Like, I'm having to get carry this water, this dog food. It's a lot.
Because I didn't do Instacart. I did what Ship. Girl, I quit that real quick. I said, you know what, it's not for me.
But I couldn't quit because I knew, you know, I still had to do something. Like, okay, what am I just gonna sit here and just, you know, like, that goes back to we're asking God to do something for us, but what are we giving back? So at the same time, I'm like, God, this is what you told me. I know this is what you said. Because, you know, I've done all the things. I've listened. I've even tried not to, and I'm still feeling this tug. So, I don't know how long I Instacart. It wasn't for too long. It was about a couple months. Well, no, it was about a couple months. Yes. So after that, I ended up getting my first client because I was doing brand strategy originally. And I learned real quickly that doing things and strategizing other people's businesses for them instead of teaching them how to do it will burn you out real fast. Yeah. So I'm really good in Canva. I'm really good at, helping people set up their systems and things like that. But they were paying me to, at that time I was a social media manager, so they were paying me to literally do all the things for their business. But I was burnt out because now when I had a time for my own business. So I had to literally go back to the drawing boards with that for sure. Like, okay, God, you've been told me that, I'm good with connecting with people, with helping people understand who they are, but is it in this capacity that you want me to do it?
That's so good.
So I kind of put that on pause for a little. And by this time, my business is growing. Mm-hmm. We went from about 27,000 one year to 126,000 the next year.
Whoa.
When I say God literally breathed on Creative Kids Jewelry, it's insane. And I honestly believe that it was because I trust God for real. Like this not play. Like when I tell people about like trying to level up their minds and their money, like helping you level up mentally and financially, like this real life. And just to see when you really, for one, trust God, two, trust what he's put inside of you, and three, you do the work. Like you can't help but to really see the fruit of what you've put in. Because at the end of the day, and one reason that I love my pastor so much, because she really
I love your pastor too.
Love her
we
so
we love
much.
Pastor A.
We love her.
Love her.
Listen,
she really ignites something, in us, to help literally catapult us to where we're going.
Yeah.
And when she say, that everything in the earth is voice activated, baby, that thing do something to me. Everything in the earth is voice activated.
Yeah.
So the moment that I speak it and I speak to this thing, like I got to see it. I have to see you come to fruition. So it was a lot kind of leading up to this point, but now I'm in a groove now where I understand. First, I've had a business since 2018, so I've learned and kind of invested in so many courses and just different things, and then just from trial and error. I don't have anyone that I can go to and ask, how did you do this, or kind of go sit next to them and just kind of like everything I've done, like I've invested in it and I've learned it, and for the longest, Google and YouTube was my BFFs.
Period.
Do you hear me? My BFFs. And I even now, though, I still, like, he'll ask me something, I be like, hold on, let me go Google it. Like, literally, but it's just being resourceful with what you have. Like, God has given you this mind. Like, listen, it's nothing that, you really can't create and you can't do. So that's really where I am now. So now I'm kind of getting back to the point where I can help people with their businesses, but I don't have to be so hands-on. I can teach you how to do it. I can teach you, the steps and more so how to shift your mindset around how your business should look, because people want to just automatically go to step 5. You want to automatically go to making the money, but or running the Facebook ads, but you're forgetting to set up the system, set up the emails,
so good.
Have customer service first, love people first, love your product, believe in your product first. People don't really, they want to skip those steps. So I'm gonna stop talking. That's where I am now.
No, don't stop. I feel like what you don't know is that I needed that. Like I've become just quick story. So I'm in the season where God told me to leave my job, and not knowing that He was gonna give me a ram in the bush experience, but I left. I submitted. I was attempting to submit my 2-week or month notice. I was giving them 30 days. And the grace of God, like you gotta treat, like you said, you gotta treat people well. Like, and I did well at my job. Like I was at a job, and I knew God. At some point, God had let me know that particular company would be the last company I worked for. Yeah. Right. So I knew that this was gonna be the end. Yeah. I just didn't know it was gonna be now. Yeah. So in the midst of me going through with finding out about Tabitha Brown and all that stuff like that, God telling me to leave my job. What? This ain't. I'm not getting paid for this. Yeah. And I might have gotten another 1,000 followers because of this opportunity, but that ain't gonna do it. God, what is this? Like, I am in that point, because in sales, when sales are selling, they good. Yeah. But when they not selling, you ain't making no money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I was in a not making no money situation. with the sales at that point. And so fast forward, God, I'm still with the same company, but I demoted, you know what I'm saying? But really I promoted because I'm able to put more energy into the podcast or whatever. Really, I never knew that I would be doing this. You know what I'm saying? I just went with God. Like, really just going with God is the answer.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like, what am I supposed to do? Go with God.
For real.
I want to find my purpose. Go with God. I never would have thought that this would be something I would be doing because if I'm quite honest, I didn't appreciate my voice. I didn't really like how I sounded. I feel like I sound like a man still to this day, but it don't matter because guess what? I was sounding like a man by Tabitha Brown, so it don't matter. So, you know, this has really been building my confidence. And even what you just said was like, sometimes I think of like, okay, I got to make money, or I want to be able to, you know, do stuff for Desiree, or I work myself up so much to the point where it's like, embrace the now. Because eventually what you're doing and the practices that you're making, I'm going to be able to teach. That's what I'm hearing you saying. Like, you had to do it for yourself. You had to go through trial and error. And now you're not taking on the burden of a doer, but the exposure of a teacher. Yeah. And teachers get paid. Yeah. Like, we think about teacher in one form, but it's really a office of the fivefold. If we really think about that. And what we have in the fivefold is really an extension that we're supposed to be a representation in earth. Yeah. Like, I got all of it from what you just said. No, like, it is so good.
No, I think, you know, I tell people all the time, like, I'm not going to tell you to leave your job, but I do because I've been there and I know the notion to leave, and I know that the feeling, you know, of my time here has expired. Yeah. And the thing is, when the season is dead or the ground is dead, nothing is going to come out of it but weeds and roots, you know. And a lot of times you can look at it like, you know, well, roots still grow. Yeah, but dead roots ain't going to give you nothing that you can use. They're not going to give you good fruit.
They ain't giving you nothing.
You know, so I think if you've gone to a point where, you know, God is literally telling you, you know, for us, it was literally getting out of our own heads. When I tell you, when I quit, we literally did way more than what we were doing with the job. So it kind of makes me feel like was my overflow held up because I was disobedient? So if God has told you to do something, until you do that thing, you're not going to live. First of all, you're not going to live freely, and you're not going to live holy, because you're always going to be getting a piece of what he has for you instead of all of it. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added. Not a piece, not a little bit, not some, all. And I can talk about, and people always tell me, you know, well, it's easy for you. You all don't have kids. It ain't easy. Even though we don't have kids, it still was hard because going from one income to two incomes to one income is a stress, I'm sure, on anybody. You know, but when you really trust God and you believe God for real, like, I have a friend that I never forget. She would tell me that, like, for Christmas, they would, like, pay people's mortgages and their car notes. And she said, there's no way I'm going to pay somebody a car note and God let my car get repossessed. So that goes back to what you do for others, God will make happen for you. And it took a while to get there, but when we sit and look at it now, it's like, bro, God has literally blown our minds in the middle of a pandemic when people are literally losing jobs, you know, and they want to work. And it's not necessarily that I just don't want to work. I've never had a dream job. Even when I was going to be a pharmacist, I was going because I wanted to be the pharmacist that ran my own pharmacy. Like, it was always going back to entrepreneurship some kind of way.
You just didn't know the word.
So it's literally like, okay, I know it's here, it's planted already, but I don't know when the fruit gonna form and how the fruit gonna look. But I know that it's there and it's already planted here for it to sprout. So I would just say to you, girl, listen, until you do what God said do, you gonna always get half.
You know what? Don't talk about it. My camera dead. It died. The bear died. This ain't changed. Okay. So, but what's coming up? Don't be looking at me like that.
No, she just came for my neck. That's why I'm looking for you. She just came for my neck.
Her did. What's coming up is the story. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it verbatim, but it's the story of Elijah. I think when God made provisions for him with the raven. Like when you know, he had the brook, and then he was literally providing for him with the ravens, right? Which is a dirty bird.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? But then when the brook dried up, he could have stayed there, and he could have stayed there, right? But God had already made the next set of provisions for him. He already had the lady prepared to take care of him, but he had to make the decision to go with God and follow him, follow the story. You know what I'm saying? That's what came up, because I was like, because when the grace is up, the grace is up.
The grace is gone. Yeah, it's gone. You came for my neck, but
she did.
Like,
but she did it so eloquently.
No, she did it eloquently, but
so
she ain't
beautiful.
wrong though.
No.
And the thing about it is, even in this season, I'm learning that entrepreneurship really brings you closer to God.
Oh,
Bruh.
baby.
Like, man, the experiences that I'm having now, I'm like, bruh, how my roof need to be fixed after I'm making the money you was making as an entrepreneur. I'm making that at the job.
Yeah.
I done bought my house as a single woman. I done bought my car as a single woman with the income that I was making. And now I'm like, God, this ain't the math ain't mathing on this, but we gonna figure this out. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no choice but to have faith. I told the roofing people, I said, you ain't gonna have no problem with my insurance company, and I'm gonna be able to pay you.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it's gonna happen. And it's happening.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so when you say, like, when I give God half, he responds with
what you give him with half.
That's why people give when people say something about tithing or whatever, I know that for a fact. I done grown up with that. But I love, let me not miss this point, and I'm gonna land the plane here. The point that you're making about I didn't see it, but I knew I had to do it. Sometimes we use the excuse of, oh, my family didn't do it, or this and that. And so you say you use the resources to get to where you are. I think that's a pinpoint of where we miss and why fear is festered in there. Has there ever been a moment to where you can recall is like fear almost took you out in your entrepreneurial role, and how did you translate that and to giving that to God?
Yeah, but all the time. All the time. Like, I think a lot of times we can be just so super spiritual. Fear is a real thing.
Yeah.
Fear is a real thing, but it's when you don't cast down fear when it becomes a problem.
That's so good.
Because we're human. And sometimes our humanity will trump our spirituality. Sometimes being human will trump even what we know God said, because we're human first. And of course, we're supposed to think, we don't supposed to think carnally sometimes. But baby, when I see these bills,
listen, talk to
and
me.
then I see that Regis account and their federal account, and baby, that math
ain't mathing.
What we doing?
What are we doing?
So that's real life. But I also think that when you get to a point where you understand that fear doesn't win, and I have to do it anyway, because if you sit here and you don't kick down the door of fear, you will never know what's on the other side of that door until you get there. So I think for me, when it currently comes to my entrepreneur journey, I don't necessarily, for me, it's more so of making sure that I'm going to stay where I am and not go back. So, when you hit your first $1,000 month, you ain't trying to go back to make a $200 a month. When you make $10,000, you ain't trying to go back $5,000,
Yeah.
So a lot of times I start looking at, okay, what would my life look like if I don't continue to stay there, And I think it's not necessarily a point of if God can't do it. It's a point of if we believe sometimes that we deserve it, if we believe that it just a point of if we even just believe that it will happen, not if God will do it, but if the Bible tells us if you ask a thing and you believe it shall be so, not just asking for it and just going on about from the prayer, but asking that thing and literally believing that God has already, like, that has gotten me over fear plenty of times. And also, was it David that said, God, I believe, will help my unbelief?
It was a man in the New Testament. By the son, right? He's like, I know you can do it.
I know you can do it.
Help my unbelief.
Help my unbelief. So that's, I'm sorry, I don't know who said it.
Yeah, I was about to say, go ahead and Google that.
Look, I'm like, I don't know who said it, but I remember reading. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, that's a point of like, God made you. God knows exactly who you are, how you're going to act, how you're going to receive what he does and what he doesn't do. He already know you're going to be scared. So trying to cover up things from God makes fear more prevalent in your life because you're trying to cover it up instead of just giving it to him. God, I'm scared. I believe you can do it, but I honestly don't know if you are. God, like I have real life talks. Real talks. Like God, I believe that you can do it. And I apologize for doubting you. But give me peace in this moment. Show me a sign. We laugh. I'm gonna go back for a little bit. So Jetton had like 100 jobs 1 year, right? He had like 100 jobs. This was like we was waiting for him to get his call back for a firefighter.
Yeah.
And he couldn't, because we're dreamers, we're creative, so it's just hard for us to just settle in just one thing, knowing God has given us something bigger.
Yeah.
So he had got this appointment or this interview for pest control. I think it was Cook's Pest Control, and they want you to cut your hair off, right?
Yeah.
So I already knew that he was going to have to cut all his hair off when he became an actual firefighter. But I'm like, we going to do that for your actual career. We ain't finna just do that for no Cook's Pest Control that you probably gonna quit.
I like what's on your face.
You feel me? I deal with that for your career, but a job that you probably going to quit next week, we're not finna do that. So I told you I believe God for real, right? So that night, I'm like, okay, we're going to be like Gideon and ask God to send us a sign if it's meant for you to get this job, right? So I knew we had to be specific. I'd be specific with my prayers. I'd be specific when it's time to, like when I'm really declaring something and putting I really need a demand on heaven. Like I'm real specific what I need. So I said, okay, God, it's funny now. We laugh about it all the time. I said, okay, so we never saw bugs in our house, right? So I'm like, okay, well, he going to work at Cook's Pest Control. I'm going to ask God for a roach to come by here if you supposed to have that
job. Girl, no.
You got to be, and if you know me, you know when I say I hate bugs, like they are yeah. Anyway, back to the story. So I literally prayed that night, and I said, God, if this is the job you have for him, like and I honestly believe that God meets our faith. He know I was serious. We laugh now, but I was so serious at that time.
Yeah.
If this is the job you have for him, allow a roach to come by here between now and in the morning. And safe to say, we ain't never seen no roach, so he ain't go to that job. But saying all of that to say, when you really go to God, and I know I'm not Gideon, but I believe that your word is for me. So if this happened back then, you the same God now, right. So I can pray that again.
Right.
So that's when you kind of start just putting a demand on God with like, God, you know my heart. You already know I'm gonna be scared. You know that like this is a fear of mine. Help me with that, and forgive me for any time that I've doubted you. I mean, with entrepreneurship, you're gonna be scared. I'm sorry, y'all just got braced, so I'm probably all over the place. But I'm trying so hard.
Welcome to the club.
All right, I got my spit out the way. With entrepreneurship, you're gonna be afraid because first of all, especially like no one in my family has ever had, for one, a legitimate business. Two, no one in my family has ever gotten to a point where, they have even been able just to walk away from a job, period. Not even just to go be an entrepreneur, but to stand up and just say that enough is enough. My mom waited till she was probably 47, 48, and she had been at a job for almost 23 years and walked off that job. It took her forever to do that, but you weren't valued there. This wasn't what God had for you. He probably had you there for a season, for then, but now this is now. So I think, anything new is gonna be a fear. It's gonna cause fear.
That's good.
And I'll never forget. I saw a meme years ago, and I literally carried with me like I said it. You can always trust an unknown future to a known God. So that's how we dealing with fear, baby. Do it afraid, but
Courage.
do it.
That's what it says in Joshua. Be bold and courageous. Courage don't mean fear not there.
Right.
Courage means doing it in the face of fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does.
And then that's when you see what you're made of.
For sure.
Because if it's always easy, the piece of cake, you know, what character are you building there?
That's so good.
But when you get to a point and you know that I'm working through fear, I'm working through heartache, I'm working through negative bank accounts. Like, God, you got to bless this.
Hold up. I'm finna go into worship right now because what you just, like, I'm working through this. Like, it keeps coming up. Like, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil because thou art with me.
Yes.
And when we say that, like, it's just like on a cereal box or something. You know what I'm saying? But no, like, when you say that, I see that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm working through the unpaid bills. I'm working through the bad credit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello. I'm working through, not knowing what tomorrow brings, but I know who knows what tomorrow brings.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just kind of like amazed at this conversation because this is not what I wanted to talk about. I was like, I wanted to be nosy about, how happy you are. Like, girl, you happy. Like, you done brought your man up every time, every example. And I just love that. So I want to be nosy about certain things. But God is like, we got to bring you back. And we have to let the man of God come because obviously the Lord didn't want to talk about that today. No, he wanted to come for my neck on this entrepreneurship. And I know if he coming for my neck, he coming for y'all neck. Desiree.
Yeah.
First of all, did you find that scripture you was talking about?
So this has been so good. Thank you, Cortne.
Like, for real.
Just dropping all
no
the
cap.
gems. It's the story of when Jesus and his homeboys, they was walking through, they was doing all the things. They was doing the miracles, right? So it's a guy who brought his son to the disciples who had a spirit and they couldn't cast the spirit out. So when he's talking to Jesus, this is Mark 9 and 20. Let's go around 22, right? So it says,
what version you reading? So
this is NLT,
all
right? It says, the spirit often throws him into the fire or into water, trying to kill him. Have mercy on us and help us if you can. What do you mean? So this is red letter. Red letter means this is Jesus. Jesus said, what you mean if I can?
Right.
Jesus said, anything is possible if a person believes. The father instantly cried out, I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief. So as I was just sitting there listening, as we're talking about like entrepreneurship and just thinking about my own entrepreneurial journey, is like a lot of things that people were coming to Jesus about at this point, like it's either they saw it or they knew somebody that had an encounter, right? So it's like, I know it's possible. One, if I can look back in my own life, about the things that God has brought me through, I know it's possible. But sometimes when we come into different situations and circumstances, because with every level there's a new testing, there's a new trial, right? And the higher you go, the bigger they become. And so it's like you're coming up against this thing, where you're deciding to try entrepreneurship or try something new, and this fear rises up, right? The fear rises up, and you're like, Lord, I know you can, but because I've struggled, because my thing is, I felt like I've worked so hard for everything, right? Like I've really had to work so hard for everything. But the truth of the matter is, I was working in my own strength and not allowing God to do it, right? So now, as I'm coming into these different seasons and these different testings, the fear is there. One now because I don't want to get it wrong, but I'm like, Lord, I know you can do it. I know you can, but there's that fear is trying to allow me not to believe. And if we're just honest with God, like he already knows, if we're just honest with him, like you said, Cortne, be honest with him and leave it at his feet.
Yeah.
And the courage is to continue to move forward. Yeah. Because who knows what's waiting on the other side, but we won't know until we make that step to cross over.
Till we decide. When we decide it means to cut off something. Like, you can't have both. And sometimes we want, okay, God, you make this entrepreneur thing happen while I do my job. If God ain't graced you for that, you can't, because it's no way to be as creative as we are in this room. Like, that's all. It's so beautiful how God just set it up like that. Like, we're all creators in this room. We go through we create in different ways, but our foundation is the same. Is that as a creator, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, Holy Spirit. Oh my gosh. So I'm getting this picture of the start of creation, and how God took day by day by day to create, when he could have made everything in an instant.
Yeah.
He could have.
Ooh. Yeah.
So what if God took his time to do something that he could have done miraculously in a moment? What do you mean? What do we look like trying to create the end version of ourselves, or the end version of the thing in a day?
Yeah.
So that should be in our encouragement to say, okay, God gave me a roadmap.
Yeah.
He did it in 7 days, but it might take his 7 days might be my 7 months, 7 years. I just gotta brace myself for the time, because it's gonna be created.
Yeah. And enjoy the journey.
Yeah,
We be so ready for the goal, to reach the goal, that we forget the progress that it took to get there.
yeah,
Because the progress is what is going to build you. That's going to build character. That's going to build your faith. At the end of the day, if you go into a problem, or if you go into a situation or a season, if you go into a new season and you come out of that season and your faith is the same, you didn't pass the test.
Man.
Everything that we go through, I think I said that earlier with I Am Fit, everything that we go through is literally a battlefield to train our faith. And I had a friend to tell me that she think I have the gift of faith.
mm-hmm.
And I don't call it any of that. I don't really know. But one thing that can't nobody tell me is that God can't do something. And I get a lot of questions. Well, how do you hear God? And how do you know what your purpose is? And what do you do when God doesn't do it? And the simplest question after I cry is believe God again.
Believe
God again.
Oh, Desiree, hold up. Wait. Woo! Wait, hold up. Wait. Did y'all hear what the woman of God just said? She said, after I'm done crying, after I feel all the human emotions, after I go through all these experiences of transition and feel like I'm let down, I choose to believe God again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cortne, I'm about to tell you something. You just messed up my flow. Because normally I ask people, do they have a final thought?
There it is.
Cortne. Oh my gosh, like I'm not normally speeches like this. Normally I have something to say. I don't got nothing to say. That's what you got something to say? Do y'all got something to say?
Yeah.
Cortne, if you did nothing else today, I don't care if not one person watched this, you came for me. Like real talk. Like I ain't gonna lie. I didn't even know I needed this juice.
Yeah.
Like
It's been so good.
Like freedom for real, and just knowing you and seeing you from the outside or whatever, now getting to talk to you, man, like it hit different. So for those of you that are on this entrepreneur journey that don't have a name for what y'all doing yet, like go through the process, man, because you are the evidence. As I like to say it, because David Shands, you the social proof, like for real. And so, man, this has been a very confirming and encouraging conversation. I just want to thank you, sis. Like, man, thank you.
I'm just glad to be here on Jess.
Listen, you have to come back.
Listen, we have to get you on the LoadUp Podcast.
I would love that.
on.
I'm always interviewing, but rarely. I just did my first interview not too long ago, but yeah, I would love that. But
it's different being on the other side of
it
the mic.
is.
Come on.
It is different. So I'll be nervous. I'm like, I don't know what they finna ask me, but Lord, have your way.
Yeah.
Listen, you're definitely coming back. We might have him come. We might invite him to the table. Like what? But no, most definitely. And I look forward to just seeing your evolution, you evolving from this. And so this has been very encouraging, y'all. Desiree, yeah. I don't have nothing to say. So with that being said, man, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you follow my girl. Our information is in the description. But y'all, listen, I want to hear how she blew your mind, because my mind blown right now. I know y'all's mind is blown. So I hope you guys are encouraged. Remember, until next week, remember, life, I almost forgot, could be much more simple if you just ask. See y'all next week.